What's happening, YouTube? Clippers preseason. This is the second game, and they played the Utah Jazz two times. Um, we lost the first time, which was in Hawaii. Everybody was just getting their grooves. Um, it is a preseason game, so that's when everybody gets their reps in. And then the second game, which is the game today, um, we bounced back with a solid W. Last game, I managed to watch some of the games. Didn't watch too much of it because I was kind of like flipping channels between, the Clippers game and then primetime football, which was the Niners versus the Cowboys. Not a fan of either of the teams. I'm a I'm a Chargers fan, and then Chargers play on Monday. Who knows? Maybe I might make a different sports video because I'm actually starting to watch other sports now, baseball and football. Especially it's football season, and I'm getting into more football. And I'm a Chargers fan, just like how I'm a Clippers fan, and pretty fun team. So we'll see what happens on Monday. But anyways, going back to the Clippers. The Clippers, they're looking pretty good. They're looking pretty good. Kawhi Leonard looking good as usual. Paul George, looking smooth as usual, but this game he was not making as much shots. But it's preseason, and then those are like good shots. It's not like he's throwing up the worst shots in the world. His shots will eventually fall in. Solid playmaking though, and of course solid defense. Although one of the defense possessions that Paul George did, he did get blown by, and Kawhi had to play help defense. So, but other than that, our stars are looking great. And Russell Westbrook, first, his first game today, didn't play last game. He was really good. He played defense. He was getting involved. He was feeding people, getting rebounds. Amazing, man. I just love how Russ brings the energy for us. And then, you know, and then you got Bones Highland doing his thing. But anyways, um, let's get into the stat sheets to kind of like break it down more often. And then, so starting with the Jazz, John Collins, he did solid with reboundings, I guess. One block. His field goal was not, the best. Wasn't really good. Laurie Markkinen, he was pretty solid on the offensive end. Um, 8 rebounds, 16 points, 1 steal. Walker Kessler, um, doesn't do too much in terms of points, but on defense, he always, does his job. He had an amazing year last year, and probably will continue to have a pretty good year. Um, but his rebounding wasn't the highest. But again, you can also factor the fact that he only played 17 minutes. Colin Sexton, he had a cold night. But the person who did amazing against the Clippers is nothing other than Taylor Horton Tucker. Taylor Horton Tucker, when he was at the Lakers fans, they thought that he was the next big thing. Um, Sometimes you couldn't blame him because he had some good games. Um, of course, a lot of people they like to roast Lakers fans on how they overhyped him, but so the Lakers decided to ship him for Patrick Beverly, which is surprising to even a lot of Lakers fans. A lot of Lakers fans they didn't like it. Um, but Taylor Horton Tucker he gets to have a fresh start. 7 assists, 24 points. All around very strong, like a strong guard. 40 and then 4 rebounds. So he was like the player of the game. And then Olenek, he did solid. Solid all around. Defense, well, yeah, defense solid. Rebounding would be three rebounds, and then He got 4 assists and then 1 block, 1 steal. Solid backup. And then the other players didn't. They pretty much like had a neutral factor, in my opinion. Then Yurt Servin, he had some solid garbage time, and it's a pretty bright player. Jordan Clarkson was a bucket, as expected. Keontae George. The Jazz, I thought they did pretty good with the draft as well too. Felt like they were like actually more of the underrated side. They got 2 good players. They got Keontae George, who's a walking bucket, and then Taylor Hendricks, who I was surprised didn't really see too much. I just saw like some little runs, but he did his job on defense. Like he was known to be a really good defender back in UCF, I believe. So that's a solid acquisition for them. And then, but Keontae though, that dude's a bucket. He's a bucket. He can dime. Defense, is on the neutral factor. Like it's not a traffic cone, at least from what I've seen. But, whew, walking bucket. I won't be surprised if he has like a kind of like a similar year what Donovan Mitchell had when he played for the Jazz, because both of them, they are like really smooth. Like if you need a guy who can score, Keontae got you. If you need any type of offense, Keontae got you. So solid move by the Jazz by drafting them. But overall, Jazz, they're a pretty fun team, and they will have their future will only get better and better with all the picks they own. But now, let's talk about the Clippers, man. Robert Covington, my goodness. Ty Lue finally decided to start him. Um, the past 2 games of Tyronn Lue, in my opinion, I would say it's pretty good, but at the same time, I would say it to a fault because Marcus Morris, he's not healthy. And in my opinion, the next preseason game is the true test on how good is Ty Lue actually. Is he still the old Ty Lue we know, or is is this year a new version of Ty Lue? Um, Last season it was pretty frustrating. Ty Lue, his rotations was very suspect, but the year before it wasn't too bad. First year it was on and off, so each year it might be different. Ty Lue, hopefully he fixed it up, man. Like hopefully he doesn't start Marcus Morris. Hopefully he moves on and decides to start Robert Covington. Or if not start Robert Covington, you can start Terrence Mann. You can choose either one. Both of them are fine with me. Um, because Terrence Mann, Russell Westbrook, that's also a really good backcourt. Like I said, Paul George. Offense was pretty bad, but he got his rebounds and he got 5 assists. It's pretty solid. Kawhi Leonard, he did typical Kawhi Leonard things. 16 points, pretty efficient. Um, Man, it's just nice to see him healthy. That's what we love to see about Kawhi Leonard, man. Um, when Kawhi is healthy, anything's possible. Clippers are going to the finals if Kawhi's healthy, and that's what we need to see. And then Ty Lue, he's trying to make a change of having Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, try to have him play more consistent, and you know, like judging from last year, having a good regular season is actually like pretty vital, because you got the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets, they always play good in the regular season. They're always consistent. They don't lose to the worst teams in the world. They, when they lose, it's always like a competitive loss. And I believe that's what Ty Lue's trying to message Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are saying. We need to take the regular season more seriously, because that is kind of true. Because whilst at times, like teams on the lower tier, like in the 8 seeds, like the Miami Heat, they somehow managed to pull it off and then go to the finals. But I think it's always better to kind of like have a more better habit. You know what I'm saying? Like now, if you're like hurt a lot, which I kind of get it, but then like everybody gets healthy. That's also like a way how a team can quote unquote pull of an upset. But it's always best to try to have a more consistent regular season. And then if you lose, that's fine. Every team loses eventually, but at least make it more like a good loss. You know what I'm saying? Like a not an embarrassing loss. Like don't lose to a team like let's see. I'm trying to draw like a mediocre team, for example, with all due respect. Like don't be losing to teams like the Pistons, the Charlotte Hornets, or the um, who else? I'm trying to predict who else possible. Or don't be losing to like the Blazers. Well, the Blazers they do have Scoot Henderson and all that, so they could be a fun team. But you get what I'm trying to say. Like don't be losing to teams like the Hornets or the Detroit Pistons or like the Pacers and all that, unless if something happens. But like try not to like um like build a bad habit. Like just be consistent. Try to win as many games as possible. But anyways, that is what the Clippers are looking. And of course Russell Westbrook. Um, Russell Westbrook doesn't disappoint, and I think that's another positive of bringing Russell Westbrook because Russ he brings energy. Russ he brings charisma. Russ um, he's a great locker room guy to have. Really humble dude, one of the best teammates to have. And that's what the Clippers always needed. They needed a guy like Russell Westbrook. Because Russ, he's not the type of guy who has a big ego and all that. Um, the reason why Russ didn't do well with the Lakers, that's because LeBron is already a ball dominant person. So it's hard to have, two people who play like the same exact positions. It just didn't really fit well. And then, of course, Lakers, like, it's not just Russ. Lakers didn't have any shooting and all that either. Um, like, when Russ was with the Lakers, they barely had Hachimura. Like, they only had Hachimura on the last month. They didn't have Vando. Um, you know, they didn't have those guys. They did not have them. So, can't always blame on Russ. But anyways, glad that he's on the team like the Clippers. Um, like Clippers with Kawhi Paul George, and then that's perfect for us. That is perfect, especially with Paul George. Nico Batum, glad to see him get some runs. You know, 3 rebounds and then 7 points, knocked out on a three. He did okay in my opinion. Nothing too crazy. Um, and then KJ Martin, he showed some flash, like especially from like some athleticism and all that. 2 rebounds, one assist, 4 points. He definitely could be. He's definitely a pretty solid acquisition for the Clippers. Definitely could help a lot, with all the lobs and all that. Musa Diabate, man, I've been vouching for him since the beginning, man. How many times did I have to vouch for him to play minutes? This guy is great for defense and rebounding. You want a guy who can hustle? Diabate. You want a guy who would always, try to go for rebounds? Diabate. And that man be getting 3 blocks, bro. Like, that's crazy. And one of my ideal rotations that I want to see like happen at times is I would love to see a front court of Musa Diabate and Robert Covington. That might be a long shot because you got Mason Plumlee and Ty Lue. At least from last year, he seems pretty stubborn of playing younger players. But if we can get a Musa Diabate and Robert Covington front court, like Diabate at center, Robert Covington at power forward. That would be so perfect for rebounding, defense, and hustle. Like, man, that would help the Clippers so much. And then Mason Plumlee, like even though I'll be vouching for Diabate, Plumlee he's not bad. I mean, it's better than having a ridiculously small ball lineup. Plumlee, he does the job. He can rebound, and he's pretty efficient on the offensive end. Defense, of course, could use some work, but offensive wise, he's solid, and he makes mostly solid IQ plays. And he resigned with us for like a team friendly deal. Plumlee, um, that dude seemed pretty excited to return to become a Los Angeles Clipper. That's good to see. That is pretty good to see. Xavier Moon, it's a solid, he's been a really good player from the Agua Caliente or the Clippers G League team. Um, you know, he did pretty solid. He hit a three, solid like 4 for 10, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Um, in my opinion, since Moon is like 26 and all that, um, like I think like eventually another team is probably gonna try to get Xavier Moon, and the way how the Clippers are with Bones Highland and then Russell Westbrook, like who knows how he's gonna get minutes. I don't mind Xavier Moon becoming like a third stringer just in case one of them gets hurt. Because Moon, he's definitely an NBA quality player. Um, I could definitely say that. Bones, of course, doesn't disappoint. He hustles, 3 rebounds, which is pretty good for a guard. 13 minutes and 2 assists and 1 steals. Um, solid offensively. 3 for 9. Didn't look the best in terms of stat wise, but eye test wise, he passes the eye test. Although he could try to chill with the fouls, especially that one elbow man. Ooh, calm down with that. Um, Terrence Mann, 18 minutes, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Like, see, either Terrence Mann or Robert Covington. Those are like one of the starting fives that I want Tyler to roll with. If you want to go a little smaller, Terrence Mann. If you want to go big, go with Robert Covington. Go with one of them. Like, and don't be starting Marcus Morris, man. With all due respect, like, unless if he somehow turns to like 2021 Marcus Morris. Like 2021 Marcus Morris was actually pretty solid. He was hitting shots and everything, like when we needed him. But last year Marcus Morris was definitely a no go. I would definitely limit his minutes, no more than 10 minutes at the moment. Amir Coffey started off. He started off cold, but later on, he was hitting buckets. Um, I know Amir Coffey's been like kind of quiet lately, um, if been watching the team since like a year or two ago, like without Kawhi and Paul George, we know what Amir Coffey is capable of. He has some burst of being a pretty like decently solid player. He got 2 blocks, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. Dude was taking a decent amount of shots. So he finished off the game pretty solid. And then Jordan Miller, 8 minutes. He did solid on defense, like a decent 3-and-D player. Kobe Brown, man, Kobe Brown. Um, I thought he did solid in rebounding, 5 rebounds. Um, like he didn't do the best in terms of field goal efficiency. He only went 1 for 6. I felt like he could have tried to be a little bit more quicker on defense, but he does put an effort on defense, which I would definitely give him that. Um, Despite of what I've said about Kobe Bryant in the past, I generally do hope he proves me wrong and he actually pretty well with the Clippers, and he did do amazing in one of the summer league games. And let's hope we can get another version of that, another version of Kobe Brown for the next game. Because Kobe Brown, he could be capable of being like a solid role player. Um, that's just my personal opinion. Um, I will say the guy who I really wanted to wear an LA Clipper uniform, Gigi Jackson, he's not doing the best either. I'll admit for that. Um, so they're both still in a similar like boat, honestly. Kind of like similar stats. Kobe Brown went 1 for 6 today, and last game, like the last game, I think on Sunday, when Gigi Jackson played some minutes, he went 1 for 8. So I guess for now, like the way they've been playing the preseason, they're kind of like on the same level. But that's just kind of like a side note. But overall, man, I'm kind of liking the way how the Clippers are playing, and I hope this is not just a preseason Ty Lue. That's just my main concern. I wish that Marcus Morris and everybody was healthy, so I want to see like the real Ty Lue. But again, if Ty Lue can coach like this every single game, all 82 games, start Robert Covington, start Terrence Mann, start either one of them, Clippers will be chilling. Like no joke. And of course, we got to be healthy. And then also, I know I didn't talk about Norman Powell. He didn't play this game, but last game, I'm aware that he was pretty cold offensively. He went over 8. Um, Norman Powell, he's a really good quality 6 man. Should have won 6 man of the year last year, but he has moments like these when he would just outright just go cold. He would have some slumps. And if I were to, like I said, like Norman Powell is one of those guys who I'm willing to like like including if I were to make a trade offer. And just because I want a player traded doesn't mean um it doesn't mean that a person is bad. It's just sometimes that um it's kind of like more on the side of time to move on, and then if you want to make an upgrade, you got to give something. And it's just compared to all the players on our team, um, Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, those are the first guys I'm willing to give up without like too much regrets, as long as we get the right options in return. Because ideally, of course, you don't want to trade any players, but unfortunately, in the sports world, you gotta eventually give up someone if you want to make an upgrade. And Norman Powell, he just like kind of like stands out to me because he's 33. He's like in his 30s, I believe, or early 30. I don't know, but again, there's no shade to Norman Powell. He's a great player, and it's also a huge bummer that he didn't play because I was actually rooting for a Norman Powell to have a good bounce back game because it's never good to see a player do bad. And I know Norman Powell's gonna eventually bounce back because Norman Powell, um, he tends to start off like slow, just like last year. Last year, the first 2-3 weeks started off slow, but later on, like in the middle of the season, started like maybe December, January, mid season, he tends to pick it up and he tends to be a bucket. And one thing about Norman Powell is that that you have to like love about is like even though his shots is not falling, he's smart enough to try to get to the free throw line, which that's one of an amazing trait about him. Because if the shot's not falling, try to get to the free throw line, and that's what Norm does. So he does have solid basketball IQ. He just does it the foul baiting too much. Just try to make a simple shot. Only if you get contact, then you foul bait. That's just my opinion. And then it is a bummer that my man Brandon Boston Jr. Last game he only played 1 minute. He tried to play, but then I believe he got hurt, like his knees kind of got hurt, and then Unfortunately, he couldn't play. Huge bummer that this guy couldn't play because I'm a really huge fan of this man, and I'm really like when I hear this Brandon Boston Jr. in a trade package, I get real sensitive because Clippers already messed up with trading Shai Alexander. Unfortunately, I wish we could have seen a Kawhi and Shea duo, we but PG he's amazing. Okay, no knock on PG, but in my opinion, like being more homegrown is always like more of a better thing in my personal point of view. But then that's why I'm sensitive when I hear Brandon Boston Jr. and any trade talks. And it sucks that he got hurt. Even last year, he did pretty good. I believe he scored 20 points on the really good defending team, Milwaukee Bucks, and he did, I believe, like drop 24 points in the second half. So hopefully, Ty Lue bumps his minutes up. Um, I don't know though, just the way I'd be coaching last year, but again, things could change. I will give Ty Lue this compliment though is how he managed Bones minutes. Um, I was actually impressed that he actually decides to include Bones in the rotation at least within the last few months. He gave Bones the backup spot, which that's amazing. That's actually pretty good to see. But anyways, let me know how you feeling about the Clippers preseason team. Um, Obviously, how do you feel about the season? You think it's still gonna be same old, or obviously it's always good to try to clear up and just have a mentality that every season is a new season. And again, let's hope everybody's healthy. Please, can we just get Kawhi, Paul George, and all of our players healthy? Um, that's what I just want to see. And I can't believe I forgot about Zubac. My apologies. Zubac in the first game, he kind of looked a little sluggish. Um, that was just part of rust. I meant not rust. Like just being a little rusty. In my opinion, Zubac, his defense is respectable. It doesn't stand out too crazy, but he tries to get the job done. He's just more of a simple guy, you know what I'm saying? Like he plays like a role player. Like he doesn't play like a star. Like not everybody can be an all-star, and that is perfectly fine. I still have like a softer spot for Ivica Zubac. Tonight, he showed some flashes of being okay. 2 for 3, decently efficient. 1 rebounds. Sucks that he got an injury too. Nothing too much. Um, and hopefully, Russell Westbrook could give him better looks. Feed him the ball more, and that could help. Like 10 shot attempts would be amazing. But again, this should definitely conclude this video. Um, Again, how you feeling about the Clipper season, man? And the next game is going to be the Denver Nuggets, which is another preseason game. But anyways, this should wrap it up. Have a good one. Peace.